School board members choose Dwight Jones to be the district's next leader.
We need someone who constantly focuses on kids.
What members of the community think of the decision and what's next in the process.
Faced with a large number of officer-involved shootings, Metro's making some changes.
We have one chance to do this crime scene right. We do not want to have unanswered questions.
The new Force Investigation Team, its role in investigating officer-involved shootings, and the changes Metro hopes to see as a result.
Safety in the skies, the newest tool in fighting airport threats, and what makes this explosive disposal robot different from its predecessors.
Pee-wee football coaches clash on the field, one defending his actions.
I instantly charged.
What he says made him lose his cool.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 11.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. School board trustees made their decision on a new superintendent tonight.
After months of interviews and vetting, the trustees voted to offer the job to Dwight Jones, currently the Commissioner of Education for the state of Colorado. 8 News Now reporter Jamie Guirola was at that meeting tonight when the vote happened and joins us with a reaction.
As one school board member made very clear, nothing is set in stone until Dwight Jones signs the dotted line. But first, the details for his contract must be worked out, which includes negotiating a salary that could be as much as $270,000. The nationwide search to replace retiring Superintendent Walt Wolfus came down to some of these final comments.
We need someone who constantly focuses on kids, not on politics, not on community partners, but on kids, 360 degrees.
And these people are really great educators. They have different strong points. They have different challenges. But I'm very impressed with both of them.
In the end, Dwight Jones of Colorado made the better impression. The trustees picked Jones over Dallas Independent School Superintendent Michael Hinojosa.
I expect him to set a foundation so that our children will be able to participate in the educational process and contribute to our state and to our country at the same time.
All but one trustee voted for Jones. Linda Young says the search for a superintendent was rushed, and she had too many voters upset with the process.
There were a couple things that I just had. If I had a little bit more time, I would have asked him a little bit more about it, that's all.
Dwight Jones issued a statement to 8 News Now shortly after the vote passed. He says, quote, "I am humbled by the choice. It's clear that CCSD wants what we want, and that's to ensure all children have access to an inspired learning environment and high standards to successfully prepare all students for college or the workforce." Concerned citizens say the board's discussion before the vote was healthy, and they're anxious to see how a new superintendent will take the helm.
Mr. Jones is going to have a lot of challenges. We need some innovation. I think it was actually a good board meeting.
But at the end of the day, they are elected. It's their responsibility, and I think they did the right thing.
The negotiations between Jones and the school district begin first thing tomorrow morning. Once an agreement is reached, the board has to give the retiring superintendent 30 days notice.
Big progress, though.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Jamie. And now the other finalist, Michael Hinojosa, says he was honored to be chosen out of 50 candidates nationwide. Tonight, he congratulated Jones and thanked the Clark County School Board for considering him for the job.
This was an opportunity that was intriguing, both professionally and personally. Actually, quite honestly, I'm relieved that I don't have to make a very difficult decision. My heart is in Dallas. This is where I've always been.
Hinojosa says being chosen is a testament to the good work being done in Dallas schools. Earlier this week, he was actually offered a 5-year contract extension for his current position as the superintendent of Dallas Independent Schools.
Changes may be made to the controversial coroner's inquest process. Sheriff Doug Gillespie said today he's looking into some ideas, but isn't ready to offer specifics or a timeline.
I have already begun meetings with different stakeholders as I advocate positive change. But at this point, no decisions have been made about the type of changes that would be recommended.
During the Eric Scott inquest, we heard a lot of testimony about the elevated levels of prescription drugs in Scott's system at the time of the shooting. But there was no mention whether any of the officers had drugs or other substances in their system. Sheriff Gillespie says right now Metro's policy does not require testing for officers after a shooting. He says they do conduct random drug tests at any time, and officers may also be tested if investigators feel the circumstances warrant. The 3 officers who shot Eric Scott will remain on paid administrative leave until a use of force board made up of 4 civilians and 3 police officers meets to discuss the shooting. Metro was under the microscope for the inquest process long before the Costco shooting. But now, when officers use lethal force, the department is taking a new approach before it investigates. 8 News Now reporter Drawhorn found out what changes Metro is making. Aaron.
Well, Paula, these officer-involved shooting investigations really have been adding up this year. 21 times this year, Metro Police have opened fire on suspects. And today we learned that the department is assembling 2 new teams that will take a close look after an OIS. When 3 Metro officers shot and killed Eric Scott outside the Summerlin Costco, and when an unarmed Trevon Cole was killed by police during a drug raid, Metro took some heat. Although a jury ruled both shootings justified, Metro is making changes to the investigation process after an officer is forced to pull the trigger.
Their mission basically is to put together almost a bulletproof investigation. I want their investigation to be able to withstand any scrutiny, whether that be from a defense attorney, a judge, anything.
Deputy Chief James Owens revealed the details of Metro's Force Investigation Team, or FIT. Starting next week, a group of homicide detectives will be assigned to the team specializing in use of force incidents like officer-involved shootings.
It's the same investigators that will roll out to every one of these instances. They will develop even more expertise because this is now their primary function.
8 News Now also learned of another new program, the Critical Incident Review Team, or CIRT for short. It was launched in July.
What we're trying to do today is look at a much broader spectrum, a much broader scope, look at how we as an agency collectively respond to these things.
This team will study officer tactics, training, and also focus on any commonalities among police shootings.
We're looking for not only that particular incident, but is there trends also that we can look at.
Now, Metro tells us it checked with other police departments, including the LAPD and San Diego Police Department, to see how investigations are conducted there. Officers tell us they believe that the new model here is the very best it can be at this point for Las Vegas. We are reporting live. Drawhorn, 8 News Now.
Thanks, Aaron. Police are asking for help, though, finding a man who robbed a casino guest who had just cashed in their chips. This man was caught on surveillance video following the victim to his room after he cashed in. Police say when the victim opened his door, the suspect pulled out a gun, forced him to the ground. He got away with the victim's wallet, cell phone, and cash. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers or report it online at crimestoppersofnevada.com.
Republic Services will pay nearly $3 million to 21 workers who say they were fired because of their age. The company reached a settlement with them. The former employees say they were let go under the pretense of layoffs, but then replaced by much younger people. It happened 6 years ago. Many of them were longtime loyal employees who felt betrayed.
It broke my heart. It's like getting kicked in the gut by a mule. It just takes all the hard work you've done all your life and just throws it out the window.
When you're on a job like that for 33 years, and I spend more time on the job than I was spending at home with my wife. And it hurted my wife just as much as it hurted me.
Republic Services did not comment on camera, but sent us a statement saying the settlement is not an admission of age discrimination. The statement continues saying Republic Services is committed to providing equal employment opportunities regardless of age or other legally protected characteristics.
Well, Nevada will soon be getting $57 million more to help people struggling to pay their mortgage. Nevada has already received $137 million from the Hardest Hit Fund. The money will provide temporary help for eligible homeowners so they can stay current on their payments while looking for work or seeking a second job. It'll also help stem foreclosures by funding mortgage modification programs and offering help to reduce or eliminate second mortgages.
A Las Vegas woman was arrested in Louisiana on drug charges. Police stopped the vehicle she was riding in because it kept crossing over the center line. When asked to get out of the car, police say Etoya Williams of Las Vegas reached searched for 2 purses. Inside the bags, police found 2 unmarked containers filled with dozens of painkillers and anxiety medications. More than 1,300 pounds of marijuana was seized in a Border Patrol sting near San Diego that spread out over 4 days. The pot was found stashed under the hood of a pickup truck and also stuffed in gas tanks and spare tires. Agents say the drugs have a street value of more than $650,000. At least 1 person is facing charges.
Just 1 week from his sentencing, we're learning more about the man behind the botched Times Square bombing, the evidence prosecutors have to support their case, and why they believe he was plotting a second attack.
She treated me as if I was not a human being.
One of California's candidates for governor is accused of hiring an undocumented worker. The former nanny and housekeeper says she has proof that Republican Meg Whitman knew she was illegal.
A coach involved in a big brawl on the football field defends his actions. The incident, he says, sparked the fight and the punishment he received.
So as we fight our way through this late September heat wave, finally I can say that changes are coming. Cooler weather. Now there's a look at the water vapor imagery. Once again, we have some moisture in the form of some clouds outside. We're going to get some more clouds, and like I said, cool air is on the way. I'll tell you how cool it's going to get in my forecast coming up. See you guys after the break.
This portion of 8 News Now is brought to you by the Las Vegas Honda Dealers Association. You're watching Channel 8 News Now at 11 with Dave Courvoisier and Paula Francis. The news for Southern Nevada is now.
The man who tried to explode a car bomb in Times Square will be sentenced next week.
But tonight, new details are emerging about his plan and another attack he was allegedly plotting. Prosecutors say if the Times Square car bomb had not failed, it would have done this. To illustrate, government attorneys set off an explosion in a Pennsylvania field using the same types of explosives Shahzad had put in the SUV. That video was one piece of evidence submitted for the sentencing. Also submitted a video showing Faisal Shahzad holding a machine gun in which he appears to be training with the Taliban in Pakistan.
We have decided that we're going to range an attack inside America.
In the video, he said he was planning an attack on the U.S. and he had recently become a citizen. Shahzad said the Taliban gave him 5 days of explosives training, then provided him with $15,000. Prosecutors say he was planning a second bombing if the first one had succeeded. Police used a robot to disarm that bomb in Times Square. You saw it in the picture there. Now a new high-tech RoboCop, similar to that one, is debuting soon at the country's busiest airport, Atlanta. TELEMAX has a slim build, so slim it could fit down the aisle of an airplane, bus, or train. TELEMAX is one of the newest defenses against bomb threats, particularly at airports. The robot can easily climb stairs and inclines, access cramped spaces, and roll down the center aisle of a passenger jet.
Without a robot that can actually go down the aisleway of a plane, the bomb technicians have to suit up into a bomb suit and then potentially put their lives in danger. It's very hard for them to maneuver in such a large suit in a confined space like an aisleway of a plane.
The average cost for a TELEMAX robot, roughly $300,000.
The men and women who rushed to help at Ground Zero after the 9/11 terror attacks are now one step closer to getting help with their medical bills. Nearly 36,000 first responders, volunteers, and others were exposed to toxic debris at Ground Zero. Many say they've suffered some pretty serious illness as a result. Today, first responders made one last push on Capitol Hill for legislation that would set aside more than $7 billion for medical monitoring, treatment, and compensation. Retired New York City firefighter Kenny Sept is one of the people hoping the bill passes.
What was burning down there, what those buildings had become when they had collapsed, we didn't take it in only through our nose. We took it in through our eyes, through our ears. I had difficulty breathing. I had my gallbladder removed. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2007.
The bill failed to win a 2/3 majority in the House in July, but a simple majority gave it the green light today. The Senate's still working on its version of the bill. Some worry if the Democrats lose seats in this fall's midterm election, it might make it even tougher to get the legislation to the president's desk. Just 5 weeks before the election, scandal has rocked the race for California governor. A woman has come forward claiming candidate Meg Whitman hired her as a housekeeper, knowing she was in the country illegally, then fired her when she decided to run for office.
And from now on, you don't know me, and I don't know you. I hope that no one else on my position has to suffer the way that I did.
But Whitman says the agency that helped her hire Nikki Diaz provided all the proper paperwork and claimed she was stunned to learn that Diaz is an illegal immigrant.
She had a 1099 on file with the employment agency, driver's license, social security card. We had no reason to believe that she was not legal.
A lawyer for Diaz claims she also has paperwork that proves Whitman knew the maid was working illegally. Diaz is also suing Whitman for back pay she claims she has coming.
Two parent coaches got into a brawl at a Pee Wee football game, and tonight one of them is defending his actions. Nelson Croasdale says his son had gotten into a small scuffle with another player on the field, but he says the tape doesn't show what happened next. He says the other team's coach was attacking his son.
He picked me up by the back of my shoulder pads and threw me.
No one has on film the coach throwing my son across the air. I instantly charged. I went to go protect my son.
Coach Croasdale has been suspended for the rest of the season. The other coach was suspended for life. So was the man seen throwing a punch to the back of a third man's head. No criminal charges are being filed, but the kids are also being punished. Both teams have been banned from the playoffs. Tonight, parents met with league officials asking them to reconsider, but the league stood by its decision.
Well, thousands gathered at Custer State Park in South Dakota yesterday to watch the annual buffalo roundup. The dust flies and the ground trembles as the largest herd of buffalo in the country gets rounded up and driven past by cowboys on horseback. Every September, the herd's rounded up and the young buffalo are sorted to be sold in mid-November. Others are used by developers to manage private herds.
It's amazing there's any buffalo now.
Yeah, they're letting them kind of multiply. That's
I've never
great.
been to the northern plains. I got to go up there one of these times. It's kind of pretty up there. You went up there recently. Weren't you up near?
Well, I was in Wisconsin, but I've not been to the Dakotas. I'd like to go to Mount Rushmore.
Dakotas, Montana, all
exactly. It's all the same. Yes.
Montana. Oh, sorry.
So fall arrived about a little over a week ago, and I said summer was wrapping up. Now I'm saying it again. Looks like we're finally about ready to wrap up summer. I hope so, Dave. So there's a live look outside this evening. For the 5th day in a row, folks, we hit that 100-degree mark or warmer. So this is definitely a late September heat wave. But it looks like, though, finally the weather pattern is about ready to change, and we'll start to finally cool things off. In fact, in the 70 forecast, we've got highs in the mid-80s. So hang in there. Outside tonight, we've got mid-80s. For Boulder City, you're currently at 86 degrees. Now, out at the airport right now, it's still very warm, currently at 98 degrees. You can see there. Now, here are the other numbers. We're talking about mid to upper 80s. Mount Vista Russell, you're at 87 degrees, down towards Seven Hills at 84. You head over towards the Air Force Base. How about this? In the upper 70s for Lamb and Owens, down towards East Sahara, currently at 81 degrees. Tonopah, you're at 73. Cool there. Prump at 74. And Searchlight, you're checking in right now at 85 degrees. So once again, I mean, the average high now is only 89 degrees, and you've got temperatures for the 5th day in a row about 10, 11, 12 degrees warmer than it should be. And here's the high today at 100 degrees. There's that record of 102 set back in 1978, so we got close to tying the record. There's the normal high of 89 degrees, and you can see the normal low 64. Once again tonight, very warm, only getting down into the mid-70s. The satellite view kind of shows you the picture. We've had a lot of cloud cover the past couple days, and what's going on is we have an airflow of pressure off the coast of California pulling in this moisture. Now, at some point, this low begins to push off towards the east. That'll happen late Saturday into Sunday, giving us maybe a 20% chance of a scattered shower or thunderstorm, but this low will begin to cool us down, and that's something we'll look forward to. So there's a look at the temperatures outside right now across the U.S. Cool in Seattle at 57. We're at 86 currently. You can see over towards the east, Raleigh at 71 degrees. Look at Atlanta at 66 degrees, and down towards Miami currently at 78. So here's a look at the radar. If you're traveling tomorrow pretty much across the entire U.S., very dry, except once again over towards the eastern seaboard, where we're seeing once again a lot of rain here in Raleigh, up towards Virginia, and all the way down towards Miami. Getting a break now, most of that moisture now off the coast, and they had all that rain because of Tropical Storm Nicole. Still just kind of sitting there and spinning. It's got winds of about 40 miles per hour. I think it's going to fall apart, but if it does once again begin to regenerate in the Gulf of Mexico, we'll update you on what's left of Tropical Storm Nicole. All right, back here at home, we'll get down to about 75 tonight. That is is warm. The forecast for tomorrow, how about the 6th day in a row above the triple-digit mark at 100 degrees, flirting with that record of 101. But here it is. We're going to cool things down. Friday a high of 100, Saturday 97, Sunday and Monday lower 90s, and then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. How about that? The 80s are back in the 7-day forecast. So there you go. We're going to get rid of this heat eventually. Gary and Paula, back to you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot, Darren.
Michael Berk is here. It's an interesting story.
Well, it's... Oh, you're talking about the Tour de France one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
Sad.
From that aspect, yeah. Coming up next in sports, Rebel fans must be wondering, when does this guy graduate? Answer, not yet. Another visit from Colin Kaepernick, and Bobby Hauck seems impressed. And maybe it's time to stop running this Tour de France. We'll tell you what happened this time on cycling's biggest stage. 8 News Now. Back after this.
From Channel 8 News Now, sports with Michael Berk.
The good news for the Padres, they get 3 games at San Francisco this weekend. The bad news, they're in jeopardy of falling too far behind for those games to matter. They need a home win over the Cubs tonight. Opening play 2 games back to San Francisco. Will Venable had himself a big night in the outfield. This would be his 2nd great catch of the night. And here he robs Aramis Ramirez of a home run. Pulls that baby right back in. David Eckstein plays big when it matters most, late in the season and October. This double scores a run, and the Padres 3-0 over the Cubs. So now it's up to the Giants to maintain that 2-game lead. Brian Wilson obviously taking the pennant race very seriously with the fake beard there. Pat Burrell with 2 on in the 4th. Comes up big. 3-run homer makes it 3-1 Giants. And then Wilson, take a look at this, guys. He actually took the beard onto the mound in the 9th and closed out the win for the Giants and Tim Lincecum. 3-1 the final over the D-backs. They remain 2 games up on San Diego. Why do they even run the Tour de France anymore? Yet another champion has tested positive for a banned substance. 2010 winner Alberto Contador failed a drug test, which was conducted on the final day of this year's tour back in July. Apparently, his A and B test revealed a very small amount of the steroid clenbuterol, just enough for cycling's governing body to impose a suspension. Tour de France is 200 miles of hard competitive cycling for 20 days in the summer heat, uphill, both ways. You'd almost need some sort of artificial boost just to train for that, much less win it. It's time to re-examine this event. Rebels are getting ready for Reno, and UNLV has a place all picked out for the Fremont Cannon. The spot has been vacant, though, since 2004, as the Wolfpack have won 5 in a row in this series, taking a 20-15 overall lead. If the Rebels have any chance of breaking this streak, putting a different color coat of paint on the Fremont Cannon, Colin Kaepernick will have to be contained.
I think he has potential to be the best college quarterback in the country. I mean, in terms of production, he runs the ball as good as most running backs in the country, and then they've got a downfield throwing game. It's a unique combination, one that you don't see very often. In fact, somebody's going to ask me to test my memory, and I don't know that I have recall of somebody that can do both as well as he does.
And for Nevada Reno, the game might not be as big as it's been in the past, or maybe just the opposite is the case, and it's even bigger. UNR needs to win the Fremont Cannon now because they have their sights set on one of those BCS trophies.
The next game is what we're looking at. You know, that's good stuff, and you're playing your, you're on the road last week, we're on the road again, and if you're going to have any opportunity to compete at the championship level, you got to win on the road.
You try to explain the atmosphere, the environment, what it means. At the same time, I think a lot of it they start to pick up when they see everybody out here. They see the older guys and how focused they are and what it really means to them and the passion they come out here with.
Sweet. And the Fremont Cannon game kicks at 7 o'clock Saturday night. You can catch it on the mountain. This particular game did not go well for Mike.